Hello, Earle Pughe here to talk about playing arpeggios over the form of Jam Blues today. Jam Blues was composed by Duke Ellington. It's a 12-bar blues in C. I have two previous videos on Jam Blues, so I recommend that you check them out before watching this one or after watching this one. I also recommend that you listen to the song. It's really important to sort of understand what or hear what other people have done with the song, and it gives you sort of a starting point. So there's the Duke Ellington version. There's also a wonderful version by Herb Ellis and a great version by Django Reinhardt. So check those out. So we've got three chords. We have a C7, an F7, and a G7. So each chord has an arpeggio, a corresponding arpeggio. Now the C7 chord is on frets 8 and 9. The root is on string 6. We're going to play the arpeggio starting on the root. So we've got I'm going to use my fourth finger on the C, then an E on the next string, a G, and a B flat, and then it goes another octave, C, E, G, B flat, and then we've got a C on the top. Then we have the F7. Now the F7, the root of the F7 chord is actually on the 5th string at fret 8, so that's where we will start. And we could also go down from that. The G7 is on frets 9 and 10. The root of the G7 chord is on the 5th string at fret 10. So we'll start there. And you can go down from that. So the F7 chord and the G7 chord have exactly the same fingering, and the arpeggios have the same fingering. So I recommend that you take a metronome, set it at 80, and play quarter note arpeggios. I recommend that you play the chord first, because we want to hear the notes of the arpeggio in relation to the chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. The F7 chord and the arpeggio. And play the chord again at the end, so that you've kind of got, you know, this idea that there's two ways to play a chord. You can play it as a chord, all the notes at once, or you can play it one note at a time. So the arpeggio is playing the chord one note at a time. Now we have the G7 chord, and we'll start on that G note on the 5th string at fret 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then play the arpeggio using 8th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. F7. And the G7. As I've said in the other videos, I recommend that you turn the metronome to half speed. So the metronome's now at 40, but we're going to play the arpeggios at exactly the same speed. So we've got the metronome clicking on the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the F7. And the G7. So this is a mechanical exercise. I apologize that this isn't sort of a little bit more fun or a little bit more flashy, but the idea is just to get it so you know where the notes are, so you aren't having to think about them. And so once you've got you're comfortable playing the arpeggio up and down with quarter notes and eighth notes, then it's a great idea to just do this. But do it over the form of the song. So we'll have 4 measures on a C7, and then 2 measures on F7, 2 measures on C7, and then 2 measures on G7, 2 measures on C7. The backing track is a great idea, so you can hear how the notes of the arpeggio sound against the chords. So you're kind of hearing them in context. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notes. So once again, this is very mechanical, and I'm sorry about that. But the idea is to just get your hands and comfortable with where these things live. Now we're going to play the arpeggios once again over the backing track, but instead of just going straight up and down, we'll only play on beats 2 and 3, and so there'll be a little space, and we also won't always start on the root. So we'll start first on the root, then on the third, then on the fifth, and so you'll kind of use different fragments of the arpeggio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So, as soon as you start to put in a little space, it starts to sound a bit more musical. So, there I only use the arpeggios ascending, starting from a low note going to a high, but you can start on a high note and go to a low, or you could change the order of the notes in the arpeggio. There's all kinds of sort of little games that you can play with these to make it more interesting. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm trying to stress two things. Use a metronome when you're practicing, not all the time, but some of the time, just so that you're doing things in real time. It's very easy to speed up when things are easy and slow down when things are more difficult. This isn't the best thing to do musically, so a metronome will really kind of keep you honest on your time. Also, these arpeggios, they're because as guitarists we are able to play a chord shape. We are sometimes guilty of not thinking about the chord enough. You really should think about the chord, as a collection of notes. It's very valuable to be able to think of it as a shape, but also to think of it as a collection of notes. So on the C7 arpeggio, we have a C, an E, a G, and a B flat. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. On the F7, we have an F, an A, a C, and an E flat. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. On the G, we have a G, a B, a D, and an F natural. And so that would once again be 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. So being able to think of the chord in two ways, thinking of it as a shape, but also as a collection of notes, is a valuable trick to have in your toolbox. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. In the next video, we'll talk about embellishing the melody of C Jam Blues, and the notes that we'll use to embellish it will be notes from the arpeggio. So hope to see you then. Thank you very much.